Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We're going to embark on a deep dive into what is, honestly, one of the most fascinating mathematical puzzles in all of American politics. Every 4 years, the US goes through this massive, complex process to choose a leader. But the nuts and bolts of it? Well, they leave a lot of people scratching their heads. So today, we are going to break down the math behind the magic of the Electoral College, using the actual data and rules that run the whole shebang. It's the ultimate question, right? Does your vote actually count? We are talking about the ultimate prize here, the presidency of the United States. During election years, we all hear a ton of noise about how votes are tallied. But to truly understand the power of your individual ballot, we've got to push past the politics and dive straight into some heavy but totally revealing math. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for the explainer today. 1, the big numbers. 2, state allocation. 3, the rules of the game. 4, the popular vote paradox. And finally, 5, the map strategy. Let's get to it. Starting off with Section 1, the big numbers. So what exactly is the Electoral College? Simply put, it's a group of people appointed by each state who formally elect the president and vice president. To understand how this whole thing kicked off and how it actually still runs today, we have to look right at the U.S. Constitution. Specifically, the rules for these electors were set up in Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2. It lays out exactly how many electors each state gets to have. And that brings us to a massively important number, 538. Since the 1964 election, there have been exactly 538 electors in play. This isn't just some random number pulled out of thin air, okay? It is literally the defining metric of the entire presidential race. So how do they get to 538? Well, the math works out perfectly. The total number of electors is exactly equal to the total voting membership of the United States Congress. We take the 435 representatives in the House, add the 100 senators, and then we add the 3 electors specifically designated for Washington, D.C. Add them all up, and boom, you get a total of 538. Which leads us straight to the most famous number in American politics, 270. Basically, the Democratic candidate and the Republican candidate are just trying to add up the electors from every single state they win. Their one and only goal? Surpass that magic number of 270 electoral votes. That represents just over half of the 538 total, and it's exactly what you need to win the presidency. Moving right along to Section 2, state allocation. This process follows 3 very straightforward steps. Step 1, the U.S. Census is conducted every 10 years. Step 2, using that census data, the exact population sizes of the states are determined. And because each state gets a certain number of electors based on its population, we hit Step 3. Every time the census happens, states might actually gain or lose a few electoral votes based on those shifting demographics. By the way, if you are finding this math breakdown helpful so far, do me a huge favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep making these explainers for you guys. All right, let's see how this all builds into Section 3, the rules of the game. Here is the harsh reality of the system, the winner-take-all rule. Let's say you live in California, right? A state with a massive 55 electoral votes. If your candidate wins in California, literally even by a single ballot, they get all 55 of the state's electoral votes. If your candidate loses, they get absolutely none, 0. There is no second-place prize here. It really underscores the massive, massive stakes at play in a single state on election night. Because of that winner-take-all rule, candidates desperately want to win those highly populated states. Consider this staggering disparity in voting power. If you combine the electoral votes of just 3 states, Texas, Florida, and New York, you get 96 electoral votes. Now compare that math. Even if a candidate won North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and West Virginia, they'd only gain 31 electoral votes total from all 8 of those states combined. It's a huge difference in mathematical weight. Which brings us to Section 4, the popular vote paradox. Okay, here is where the math gets truly wild. Winning millions of individual votes, it doesn't actually mathematically guarantee the presidency. On rare occasions, like what we saw in the year 2000, someone can win the national popular vote, meaning they got over 50% of the ballots cast nationwide, but they completely failed to hit those 270 electoral votes required to actually take office. So how does that even happen? Well, the winner of the Electoral College might have won their states and collected those electoral votes by razor-thin margins, just enough states with just enough votes. Meanwhile, the losing candidate might have captured massive voter margins in the remaining states. So those extra, essentially wasted votes in a few states skew the national total over 50%, while still leaving them short of an Electoral College victory. It's like a giant puzzle where some pieces just carry way more weight. To push this math to its absolute extreme, check this out. It is mathematically possible for a candidate to get literally 0 votes, not a single person's vote, in 39 states plus D.C., and still be elected president. No way, right? But yes, how? By winning the popular vote in just 11 of these 12 massive states: California, New York, Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, New Jersey, North Carolina, Georgia, or Virginia. Win just 11 of those under the winner-take-all system, and boom, you hit the magic number. That is exactly why both parties are obsessed with these specific states. Naturally, this system sparks some intense debate. On one side, critics of the Electoral College argue that the system gives an unfair advantage to those highly populated states we were just talking about. But on the other hand, defenders point out that the Electoral College protects small states like Rhode Island, Vermont, and New Hampshire, and geographically large states with smaller populations like Alaska, Wyoming, and the Dakotas. Their argument is that a candidate just can't completely ignore small states because in a super close election, every single electoral vote counts. We are just looking at the math here, but you can definitely see why people feel so strongly on both sides of the aisle. Let's bring it home with Section 5, the map strategy. The first concept campaigns rely on is the idea of safe states. These are states that have a long, solid history of consistently voting for one particular political party. Strategically, this is huge. It means campaigns can historically count on these electoral votes being in their column before Election Day even starts, which lets them focus their time and money somewhere else. To ground this in some recent historical data from our source, let's think about the 4 election cycles between 1996 and 2008. Over that specific period, Democrats could reliably count on safe states like Oregon, Maryland, Michigan, and Massachusetts. On the flip side, Republicans could count on safe states like Mississippi, Alabama, Kansas, and Idaho. The math in these states was, historically speaking, very predictable. So the crucial point is, what happens to the rest of the map? That introduces our final definition, swing states. These are the battlegrounds. These states are literally teetering between parties, providing electoral votes for a Democrat in one cycle and a Republican in another. Ultimately, these are the states that decide the outcome of the entire election. Looking back at that historical sample from 1996 to 2008 again, Ohio and Florida stand out as classic swing states. Both of them actually flipped twice during those 4 election cycles. 2 times they went to the Democratic candidate, 2 times to the Republican. States like this keep campaigns totally guessing and force them to spend massive amounts of resources trying to win those winner-take-all margins. I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. Think about your own situation for a second. Do you live in a swing state or a safe state? And if it's safe, is it a Democratic or Republican stronghold? What about your neighbors? Is the population in your state going up or down? And how might that actually change your state's electoral power after the next census? Definitely keep these questions in mind. And hey, do not forget, when you are watching the returns on election night and that giant map is on the TV screen, you know the magic number is 270, so start adding. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. If you found this breakdown helpful, please share it with your friends so they can understand the math too. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.